Something extraordinary is happening in the world of technology. The biggest US tech firms, Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, are no longer just companies. They've become something far larger, far more powerful, and far harder to control. They operate across borders, influence governments, shape global communication, and manage economies larger than most countries. In many ways, they're starting to look and act like sovereign states. This is the tech empire, how US companies are quietly becoming their own nations. Let's start with the simplest question. How does a company start to look like a country? Well, think about what makes a nation powerful: territory, citizens, laws, currency, diplomacy. Now think about big tech. They have digital territories, ecosystems you live inside every day. They have citizens, billions of users connected through platforms. They have laws, terms of service that decide what's allowed and what's banned. And they have currencies, payment systems, ad economies, and data markets that rival national economies. When you add all that up, what you get isn't a business anymore. It's a digital state. Take Apple, for example. It has more than 1 billion active iPhones around the world. Its App Store generates over $100 billion in transactions a year. It controls its own ecosystem, complete with financial services, messaging, and identity systems. In Apple's world, Apple makes the rules. If you're a developer, you live under Apple's laws. If Apple bans your app, your business is gone overnight. And when governments try to regulate it, Apple negotiates like a nation, not a company. It sets its own tax structures, its own privacy standards, and its own definitions of security. That's not just market dominance, that's sovereignty. Now look at Amazon. Amazon's economy is larger than that of entire countries like Hungary or New Zealand. It controls global trade flows, warehousing, logistics, and a digital marketplace with over 2 million sellers. It has its own currency system through Amazon Pay, its own delivery infrastructure, its own private data networks, and, with AWS, its own digital energy grid. Amazon doesn't just power online shopping, it powers the internet itself. When parts of AWS go down, hospitals, banks, and government websites can all go dark. That's not corporate influence, that's infrastructure-level control. And then there's Google. Google isn't just a company that helps you search, it's the gateway to human knowledge. It decides what information is visible, what's hidden, and what ranks as truth in the digital age. Its algorithms have more day-to-day influence over what people see and believe than most governments or media outlets combined. And with Android, Maps, Gmail, YouTube, and Chrome, Google effectively governs an entire digital population. A population that's bigger than any single nation on Earth. Its borders, the internet, its citizens, everyone with a smartphone. Meta, formerly Facebook, goes even further. Meta governs how billions of people communicate, socialize, and even experience political life. It has its own virtual world, the metaverse, and its own foreign policy. When countries like Australia and Canada tried to make Meta pay for local news, Meta simply turned off news entirely in those countries. Imagine if a real country could shut down the press in another nation with a flip of a switch. That's the power Meta has, and it's not theoretical. It's already used it. Meta isn't a platform anymore. It's a digital nation with its own borders, rules, and army of algorithms enforcing its laws. And finally, Microsoft. It's the quietest of them all, but maybe the most deeply entrenched in global power. Microsoft runs the digital backbone of governments, militaries, schools, and corporations around the world. It manages cloud contracts for the Pentagon and the CIA. It owns GitHub, which hosts the code that powers the modern web. And through Windows and Office, it still controls the software infrastructure of the global economy. Microsoft is so embedded in the world's systems that it has become part of the state itself. When national security agencies need cyber defense, they call Microsoft, not the military. That's how blurred the lines have become between private tech and public power. So what's driving all this? Why are tech companies evolving into something that looks like governance? The answer lies in data and dependency. In the 20th century, governments controlled resources, oil, minerals, land. In the 21st, control belongs to whoever owns data, and that's big tech. Every tap, click, photo, or purchase adds to their wealth and influence. And because we depend on them for everything, communication, transportation, even government operations, they've become essential institutions in modern life. They're no longer tools we use, they're systems we live inside. And the most fascinating part? They're writing their own rules. Each of these companies has a terms of service, a legal framework that acts as the constitution of their digital realm. Break the rules, and you can be banned, silenced, or erased. There's no court, no appeal, no vote, only algorithms and corporate policies. When you lose access to your accounts, your business, your contacts, your memories, you don't just lose data, you lose your place in that digital nation. It's the 21st century equivalent of digital exile. Governments are starting to notice this power, but they're struggling to respond. The US government has launched antitrust cases against Apple, Google, and Amazon. The European Union has passed sweeping laws to rein in their influence, but here's the problem. These companies aren't bound by geography. They operate everywhere, and their influence travels faster than regulation ever can. When the EU finds Meta, the cost is just another line on a balance sheet. When the US questions Google, it still runs essential government systems through its cloud. They're too big to break, too global to regulate, and too essential to replace. That's not capitalism, that's digital sovereignty. And this raises an even bigger question. If these companies act like nations, what does that make the rest of us? We're not citizens of the internet, we're subjects of platforms. We don't vote for who leads them. We just accept the updates, agree to the terms, and keep using the products. It's convenient, it's efficient, and it's quietly building a world where corporate decisions shape more of daily life than political ones. Who you talk to, what news you see, what products you buy. All of it decided by unseen code, not by law. So where is this all going? As AI becomes the next global platform, these companies will gain even more control, not just over how we live, but how we think. AI will filter reality, summarize the world, and predict our decisions before we make them. And the companies building it will effectively become the governments of intelligence. It won't matter who's in office if your digital assistant decides what you believe. That's the next phase of this quiet power grab. Not controlling infrastructure, but perception. We used to think the 21st century would be defined by a clash between nations, but the real contest might be between nations and corporations, between governments that rule by law and companies that rule by code. It's not a loud takeover. It's silent, seamless, and already here. And by the time we realize how much power we've handed over, it might be too late to take it back. Because the world's most powerful new empires don't need land or armies anymore. They already rule our digital lives. That's the quiet power grab, and it's only just beginning.